Good morning, Abraham.
It is.
What an amazing privilege it is to be here, to converse with you, to feel you.
Next logical step.
Yes. I've been following your teachings for 3 years since I was first introduced to them, and it really felt like a coming home because it had always seemed like something I believed before I ever heard it.
You're talking about that resonance that you feel when you focus upon something and the way your inner being is focusing upon it. The absence of contradiction is what that feeling of coming home or resonance feels like. It's a really productive utilization of your own guidance system.
And it really feels like a coming home to a large extent of really understanding who I am.
But the difference is, it's not like coming back home to something that I was before. It's coming home to the vortex version of me that is the new and expanded version. Can you feel the difference? Because it was home when you made the decision to come into your physical body, but then that thing that you're calling home, that state of being, has been increasing as you've been exploring contrast and asking for more. So rather than saying coming home, which is fine, it's a returning to the wholeness of who I now am.
And that's kind of the basis of my question. As I've learned more and more about how to be a conscious creator, I've really tried to meditate, to really listen to a lot of your teachings and listen to your daily Facebook video and really try and start my day off in an aligned state. And part of my desire lately has been to really get in greater touch with my inner being, really understand who my inner being is.
Well, you see, here's the thing. When you quiet your mind, we'll talk about that in a minute, about how to do that through meditation. When you quiet your mind so that you're not offering any contradictory thoughts, you're in touch. And that feeling of almost detachment, that's really in touch. But what you're reaching for, and it gets so much better than that just detached state, is that when you allow yourself to resonate there with your inner being, who knows everything that you've been asking for, what you're actually getting into touch with is all that you really are and all that you've become. And so once you learn to play this right, so that you don't introduce contradiction to the vibration early on, then the momentum begins to build and you begin to feel an enthusiasm about things. You see, it's not just about quieting your mind and then just not having negative thoughts. It's about quieting your mind and allowing yourself to stay in that resonant place so that you can begin to receive everything that your inner being knows about you that you have formerly been blocking because of your resistant thought. So your inner being not only knows where you stand in relationship to the money and the relationships and everything else that you've been asking for. Your inner being knows where you are in relationship to everything you want and what the path of least resistance to get you to there is. So, we're really talking about a stream of satisfying experiences where you've quieted your mind, but you don't have to do much more. Sometimes people say, because for a while we called this gathering the science of deliberate creation, but you all, delightful humans that you are, you turned it into work again. You got so deliberate about it that you shot yourself in the foot. You'd say, cancel, try to suck your thoughts back before law of attraction got hold of them. You just got kind of all worried about being the creator of your own reality. And so then we began defining it. You've asked for it in step 1, but now you're in step 3, figuring out how to allow it, how to become resonant with it. And so once you really get into that place so that you begin to receive the translation, you see, that's what's going on here. We are offering to Esther blocks of thought, vibrations, like radio signals. And at an unconscious level, she receives the signal and translates it into the word equivalent. That's all that's going on here. So in the same way, your inner being knows who you are and all that you want and is offering to you those blocks of thought. The question is, are you in the receptive mode? Are you getting them? And the answer is usually not. Usually I'm so involved in what is. But Esther didn't know. Esther quieted her mind. That was the encouragement that was given to her. Sit and wear comfortable clothing and quiet your mind. And when your mind wanders, and it will, release the thought and focus back upon your breathing again. So Esther sat for 9 months with Jerry for about 15 or 20 minutes a day. And in the very first sitting, something breathed her. She managed to quiet her mind enough that she was able to translate the vibration of us into a visceral experience that she knew was real, you see. So now she has all of these words for you that she's translating through the vibration of our knowing, which explains to you that every one of you has connection with this same stream of energy, but you have to individually understand how to read that energy, which means you got to practice it from its very earliest place. That's what happened with Esther. She did not have a religious background. She didn't have a political background. She didn't have a strong opinion about anything. Esther was in a sort of neutral place, just bipping along, living happily ever after. And as we started offering blocks of thought to her, she reached into her own vocabulary from her own sparse experience in life and found words that matched what we meant. And if it didn't quite match what we meant, we would say, in other words, 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 till Esther thought she was going to go insane listening back to the early recordings, in other words, in other words, in other words, in other words, until we were able to find the framework of words, feedback from you, so that you were getting what we meant when we offered the block of thought to Esther. We offer a block of thought to Esther. Esther translates it into a word equivalent. You receive the word equivalent, and then we notice what you think you know based upon what she said. And then we keep refining it and refining it and refining it and refining it and refining it until we're on the same page, until what Esther is saying about what we said, you are receiving and understanding, you see. Same process is what you are going to be in the process of doing as you meditate and let yourself build your own language with your own inner being. Sometimes you'll get a vision about something. Sometimes it will be this very vivid light show that goes across your screen in your mind. You will learn, if you will meditate every day for 15 or 20 minutes, you will learn to receive these blocks of thoughts, and these thoughts will turn to the things of your life that you are wanting.
So now I've been riding the ride. I've really felt at times just that tremendous connection and that faith of really trusting source and not trying to get in my own way.
And can you give that an emotional word to describe it?
Exhilaration, joy, fun.
What we want to say to you, and that's
and
right.
Expectation.
All of that is good. But we want to use the word satisfaction, because in the beginning, it doesn't feel like exhilaration. It feels like satisfaction. It feels like calmness. It feels like steady. It feels like home. It feels like well-being. And as you allow yourself to stay there longer, then the momentum will increase, and eventually it will feel like off-the-wall enthusiasm. It will feel like the most wonderful things that you've ever experienced, and you will describe it in all of those tuned in, tapped in, turned on ways. Exhilaration, passion, enthusiasm, love. But in the beginning, it's softer than that, and that's why we want you to reach for satisfaction, 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 satisfaction. We want you to replace, if you want to, the word success with the word satisfaction, because if you're on some path where you're wanting to create a lot of money for some project that you're really invested in and determined about, and the money isn't in the bank yet, and you're looking over there at the bank account, you're not feeling satisfaction. You're feeling dissatisfaction. The money's not there yet. You can't continue to feel dissatisfaction and ever get on this unfolding. You see what we're getting at? We visited with a man one day who was in his 60s, and he had lost all of his money in the stock market crash. And he was discouraged, to say the least, and despondent, and could not find any way for the rest of his life to ever return to what he had before. And we tried to explain to him that if he was looking at his stock portfolio or his bank account right now, that we could understand why he would feel all of that loss. But we said, you have a vibrational currency that you're not even taking into consideration. He said, but Abraham, I can't start over. Do you know how long it took me to amass this fortune? And we said, yes, a lot longer than it needed to.
Yeah.
Because when you're out here dealing in it in that way, you're not utilizing the true leverage that you've got. But when you are tuned in, tapped in, turned on, and your inner being who knows where what you want is, and you've allowed yourself to sit in that satisfying resonance long enough that an idea comes, You know what it feels like when a good idea comes to you, when that idea pops into your mind and you translate that vibration into something that is tangible. You know that feeling of movement. And so what we were asking of him, we said, we're just asking you to know that there is a vibrational currency for you, and to trust that it's there, and to allow that vibrational currency to be allowed by you to begin again. Because who you are in terms of your current financial status and who you are in terms of your vibrational situation is an entirely different scenario. And if we were you, we wouldn't focus upon the what isn't-ness of what is. We would focus upon the what is-ness of what really is. And it wasn't long before things began rolling again, rolling again, rolling again, rolling again, rolling again. How many times have you known someone who has been up and down and up and down and up and down? And the nice thing about having something wonderful flow to you is that your expectation is that it can again. We're just telling you how to do it the easy way. You can do it the hard way, the really hard way, which is out there in the physical, banging it around, trying to control things. Or you can get into vibrational concert with who you really are and allow true knowledge about who you are and what you want to be offered steadily. The reason that Esther is so deliberately choosing the word for you to realize it is because it has already been revealed. It's already been revealed. But just because something's been revealed doesn't mean you're realizing it yet. Just like a radio station that's broadcasting on 101 FM, if you've got your dial set on something else, it's been revealed. You're just not realizing it because you're not in the receiving mode, because you're not on the same vibrational wavelength. How do you get on the vibrational wavelength? You cease the chatter of the resistant thought. It's like if you let go of the cork, it will float right back up into the resonant vibration. You can hold it under the water. That's what negative emotion is.